Aviation enthusiasts love the Boeing 757 for multiple reasons. Most of you watching this would agree that you wouldn't pass up a chance to fly on a 757, especially if it's the 757-300, the more elusive of the two variants. But sometimes you're going to be hit with reality checks. The 757s are old aircraft, and so maintenance issues are, sadly, not rare occurrences with them. Today I'm headed back to Hawaii on United, and the first of two legs will take me on the 757-300 from Chicago to San Francisco. What started as another exciting flight on the Flying Pencil later turned into a massive test of patience. Thanks a lot for joining me, and let's get to the airport. Good morning from O'Hare's Terminal 1, where after clearing TSA PreCheck in 10 minutes, I'm already off to Concourse C to catch my flight. It's just after 6 a.m. right now, and I was actually supposed to be on a 1 p.m. flight to Los Angeles, from where I'd connect onwards to Honolulu. But thanks to United's same-day flight change, I was able to select an earlier itinerary through the app and confirm my seats on those flights with no extra difference in fare. Now, I will admit I was trying really hard to see if I could get on the non-stop Chicago-Honolulu flight, but the fare difference at this point was around $300. It's a rather hazy morning today, as Canadian wildfire smoke had floated in recently and was lingering in the area. I was pretty glad to be leaving Chicago because these conditions would persist for another few days, with Chicago temporarily taking the crown for having the worst air quality in the world. This morning's flight will be United 1116 to San Francisco. At this point, boarding was due to commence in just 18 minutes, and while the plane should have been parked at the gate by now, it was nowhere to be seen. 15 minutes past the original boarding time, our 757-300 was finally tugged in from the hangar where it had spent the night. Given its high-density cabin, United primarily uses the 757-300s on busy routes between hubs, as well as to popular leisure destinations. Interestingly enough, the Chicago-Reykjavik flight, which normally uses the 757-200, has been operated by the 300 pretty often within the past few weeks. This is one of the very rare instances where the United 757-300s have operated international flights, as usually they remain within the US, with their furthest and longest routes being to the Hawaiian Islands. Eventually, boarding began around 40 minutes late. I decided to gate check my rollerboard suitcase all the way to Honolulu, and with that I upgraded from Group 3 to Group 2. Boarding a 757-300 is never a smooth or fast process, but eventually I made it to seat 27F, which is home for the next 4 hours. The seats on the 300s are pretty bare bones compared to the rest of United's mainline aircraft, with literature shelves, tray tables, power outlets between seats, and decent legroom. Even though the rest of United's narrow-body aircraft are being retrofitted with the new Next cabins, rumor has it that the 757-300s will never be retrofitted, and I guess by this point it's pretty obvious. While United hasn't outlined any official retirement plans, I would not be surprised if the first 757-300s began leaving the fleet within the next 5 or so years. That's also supported by the fact that the 757-300s are sort of notorious for maintenance delays. Even though this aircraft spent most of the day before and all night in the hangar, it soon became apparent that there was an issue with the L2 boarding door. As the crew described it, one of the door latches was faulty and prevented it from securely closing. After calling maintenance, engineers tried to troubleshoot and diagnose the issue for several minutes with all of us on board, but it soon became clear that this would take a little longer. As such, we were all instructed to deplane and head back into the terminal. Of course, none of this was the fault of the crew, and I really am so grateful to them and the gate agents for how helpful, apologetic, and communicative they were with the delay, providing updates whenever needed. It does make you wonder though, this plane's previous flight was some 19 hours earlier, with most of that time afterwards being spent in the hangar. Having that in the back of my mind kind of made this delay a little bit more annoying because the plane just came from the maintenance hangar, so how are we already facing issues? But I didn't let it bother me that much. If anything, this was a blessing in disguise because I was booked for a 3.5-hour layover in San Francisco, so any way that could be shortened was much appreciated. And thankfully we didn't spend much time lingering by the gate as the door was fixed shortly after. Around 1 hour and 20 minutes after the initial deplaning announcement was made, we were back on board, but not much longer after, the crew started having issues with the L1 boarding door. But thankfully, those issues were resolved very quickly after, and finally, all of the doors were securely closed and armed, and we began preparations to push back.
Francisco, where the local time is 12:22 p.m. Please stay seated until the seatbelt sign is off. You may continue to use and charge your phones and tablets at this time, but if you're sitting in the next row, please not plug your devices into the outlets anymore at this time. Don't forget to check your seat back pocket and the area around your seat to make sure you have all your belongings, and be careful when opening the overhead bins. To help keep the aircraft comfortable for our next customers, please go ahead and open your overhead air vents in every seat.
And welcome to San Francisco, where my 3.5-hour layover was now looking like just over an hour. To make things even easier, my connecting flight was leaving right across the hall from our arrival gate, so I was grateful both for the easy connection and also for not a very long connection, as I'd have just about 30 or so minutes before boarding began. Overall, apart from our 3-hour late departure, the flight itself was smooth and pleasant. The 757-300 is truly a unique plane, and putting maintenance issues aside, getting to fly on one is a treat we won't have for much longer. And just a few days later, I was able to fly Delta's Boeing 757-300 on my way back from Honolulu, which will be a future video, and spoiler alert, that flight was also delayed. Anyways, here we are in San Francisco in the very same concourse that I connected through when going to Hawaii last year. We'll pick up right here in the next one, which will be featuring a very special aircraft, so stay tuned. Until next time, thank you so much everybody for watching, take care, and I'll see you all again very soon.